Hello and welcome to my online Bible study. If this is your first time with me, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share with you my knowledge and understanding of Scripture. And if you are a repeat viewer, thank you for coming back again. Today's lesson is a bit of a departure from what I normally talk about. It's a little more of an editorial comment about my observations of what I see today happening in the world. But I think that it's very important that we try to recognize patterns in behavior that might lead us down the wrong path so that we don't fall into that rabbit hole that many others have fallen into. The study of philosophy and theology are very closely related to each other. But it was philosophy that began to study nature or existence and man's place in it. The central concern, or the element that connected these two studies, was truth. What good would it be to have a fabulous theory if it weren't true, they might ask. Many think that theology came a little later as a study. Of course, religion itself existed probably from the beginning of time. But theology is more the attempt to prove that God exists and to explain his connection to our reality. It wasn't as though no one thought about the role of God that God played in existence. It just didn't really begin as a study until later on. So, like philosophy, theology studies existence and man's place in it according to truth, but with the added element of a divine purpose, and it's established upon a perceived divine truth. They pretty much both use the same ideas to come to their conclusions, but as Karl Barth points out, theology always seems to be one step behind philosophy and was always looking for their approval and acceptance as a science and as a legitimate study. And I believe that this still goes on today. Although there are a lot of different opinions as to whether theology and philosophy are the same thing, I would agree that both have been attempts to discover man's purpose and his relationship in reality, and achieved it through reason and faith in truth. The philosophical period in history evolved from God being the center of all truth to man becoming the center of all truth. And today we have evolved into a philosophical idealism where there is no longer an objective, natural reality and no objective truth. And there is no outside structure upon which to base such a premise of truth. In a sense, all existence is neutral, and it proves nothing absolute about either God or a universal truth. This new period is sometimes referred to as postmodernism. In philosophy, reason and logic were always considered to be universally valid. In other words, laws that are the same for every thinker, for each individual, and for any domain of knowledge. But for postmodernists, reason and logic are merely conceptual constructs and are therefore valid only within the established intellectual traditions in which they're used. In other words, the logic of science is only good when applied to science, but not for anything else like the study of God or the study of morality. But one of the most important aspects of our present philosophy in today is that it does not consider that there are any human traits that exist of themselves, but they are only constructs of the human mind. In other words, we create our own reality and our own truth. It's not innate within human thinking. It's not born internally within us. Philosophy of itself is a very difficult and confusing study, to say the least. But when all is said and done, philosophy has a lot to offer us if we take it as a study and learn what we can from it. Perhaps our existence is more random than we like to think, and that it can sometimes appear to us as irrational and even chaotic at times. And all this ought to humble us enough so that we seek all the more for comfort in the truth found in God. This means that we ought to take life more serious than we do now, and that we must realize how little we know and can know about ourselves and the world in which we exist. But getting back to what I'm actually addressing here is that many people that I've discussed these kinds of philosophical issues with have become so puffed up by their own new revealed understanding that they feel superior to anyone who disagrees with them. It certainly has not produced a more tolerant society of intellectuals, but one of closed-minded intellectuals or individuals who have become exactly what they said they were against. So without any objective truth, there is also not any objective moral right or wrong. Right and wrong are now determined by whether you agree with the present group of idealists that are currently in power. The tables have been completely turned upside down. It used to be that the Christians were the ones considered to be intolerant to ideas. Those were the ones who shut down any conversations that went contrary to their own ideas and beliefs. But this is exactly what we're seeing today coming from these New Age idealists. Because they believe that there is no objective truth, truth is now whatever someone wants it to be. No matter how much the idea contradicts reality, it simply doesn't matter. It's just as true as anything else. If I say I'm a cat, even though I don't look like a cat or have the DNA of a cat, none of that matters. If I believe that I'm a cat, I am a cat, and you must accept that I am a cat. And of course you can replace cat with anything that you like because it's really all the same result. And now the worst part of this story is that even the church has become part of this problem. But it is not always as easy to see. People claim that they believe in the Bible, but when they make Scripture mean whatever they want it to mean, they're no different than the idealists in the world. Their truth becomes just as subjective as their antagonists. When truth is replaced with success, wealth, and power, there is no longer an objective truth of God, but one built upon the structure of success, wealth, and power. Humility has all but disappeared from the church of today, along with modesty, gentleness, and kindness. In such a world as this, there is no difference between sanity and insanity. When I watch the news or read articles about what's happening in the world today, I feel as though we're all on that ship of fools headed to that island called the Paradise of Fools. And perhaps we've already arrived there, I'm not sure. And if there is no truth, then neither is there a lie. And so if we follow this current philosophy, we will eventually enter into anarchy and self-destruction, where we almost seem to be today. I believe that what all this shows us is that man was never meant to be the arbiter of truth. That was always meant for God. And it's the Bible that predicts that this will happen at the end of the world. God will sit in judgment upon all humanity, no matter what their philosophical or their theological ideas might be. He will be the one who determines truth from what is false. In our age, truth has become a matter of convenience. When it's convenient, it exists. And when it's not convenient, it doesn't. And one final thought occurred to me. It's very possible that many are using this philosophy of denying the truth or the existence of truth more as a mask to hide their own nefarious plans. It certainly seems that there are many intelligent people who think that truth is only a matter of their own convenience. When it's convenient, it exists, and when it's not convenient, well, it doesn't. Unfortunately, I don't really see any of these ideas changing anytime soon. And to put this into the vernacular of today, truth has become weaponized by those in power. I remember a very sobering idea from the book 1984 about truth. Truth was determined by the Ministry of Truth. They determined what was true and what was false. How far are we from that becoming fulfilled today? Thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful for you and that it maybe gave you a different way to think of what's going on today, and perhaps be able to see a structure, a philosophical structure out there to help you understand our political situation, our moral situation, and our human situation. Thanks again for watching, and hope you have a blessed day. I'll see you on the next video. God bless.